Welcome to the 21st lesson of this course. Today, we will be going through Unit 8 of Book 2. In this unit, we're talking about research activities. So in this unit, we'll talk about experiments, what to do in them, all the different kinds of experiments, as well as the vocabulary related to that. So let us begin. For our first warm-up activity, I want you guys to read the passage, the Science Monthly passage over here. And once you're done, I want you to answer these two warm-up questions over here. So the first one asks, what are some different types of scientific experiments? And the second one asks, how is the integrity of a study maintained? Okay, so I want you to pause the video, read the passage, and answer these two questions by yourselves. And once you're done, resume the video and we will go through the answers together. Here are the answers. For the first one, what are some different types of scientific experiments? You have experiments that are performed in a controlled environment like a lab, and those are called the controlled experiments. So a lab, you know, where everything is, you tend not to have any outside forces interfere and so on. You have observational studies, which are studies where the experimenters do not interfere at all. So think like nature documentaries, right? They only observe the animals, but they don't interact with the animals. Next, natural or field experiments, which are performed outside of a controlled environment, and they take place in real world locations. So this is sort of the opposite of controlled experiments, okay? And the last one, double-blind experiments, which are experiments that occur when both the experimenter and the subjects do not know who received actual treatment. We'll talk more about that as we go through this unit. For the second one, how is the integrity of a study maintained? So the integrity of a study is how credible or reliable a study is. So how much can you trust it, right? The integrity of a study can be maintained when experiments use rigid procedures to prevent bias. We'll talk more about that as we go through the unit. Prevent errors and other miscalculations from occurring. Okay, so those are the answers. Moving on to the next segment. For the second warm-up activity, I want you guys to read the article again. And this time, after you read it, I want you to answer the following multiple choice questions. The first one asks, what is the main idea of the article? The second one asks, which of the following does not prevent skewed results? And the last one asks, what happens during the peer review process? Okay, so pause the video, read the passage again, and then answer the three multiple choice questions. Once you're done, resume the video and we will go through the answers together. Here are the answers. So what is the main idea of the article? The main idea of the article is the ways that scientists maintain reliability. So they talked about the different ways to make sure that their research is reliable, like preventing selection bias, watching out for placebo effect, and so on. For the second one, which of the following does not prevent skewed results? The answer is conducting a field experiment. So the other options, avoiding selection bias, setting up a double-blind trial, and recognizing the placebo effect, all of these help prevent skewed results. The third one does not. For the last one, what happens during the peer review process? The answer to this one is A. Scientists submit opinions about the validity of experiments. They mentioned this in the last paragraph, okay? So these are the answers. Moving on to the next section. For the first vocabulary segment of this unit, I want you to match the following words or phrases with the definitions, okay? So we have double-blind, safeguard, research, observational study, experimentation, and skew, all right? So I want you to pause the video, try matching these with the definitions by yourselves first. And once you're done, resume the video and we will go through the answers and definitions together. Here are the answers. Okay, for the first one, a situation where placement of subjects is not controlled by a researcher. The answer to this one is observational study. So you only observe, you don't control anything as a researcher in this kind of study. Ensuring group assignments which are unknown to both subjects and researchers, this is called the double blind. So both the subjects and the researchers do not know who took what or who received what treatment. Okay, we talked about that in the warm-up. Next, the process of performing controlled studies to gain information. The answer to this one is experimentation. All right. Next, the process of investigating materials and sources to reach conclusions. The answer to this one is research. So that's the whole point of researching. You investigate something and then you make conclusions based on that. Next one, something that is used to protect against loss or damage. We call this safeguard. So to protect something. And the last one, to change something and make it incorrect. The answer to this one is skew. Okay, so that's what skew means. So those are the answers. Moving on to the next segment. For the next vocabulary segment, I want you to place the following words or phrases from the word bank up here into the correct boxes. So we have 3 boxes. One is affecting an outcome. So which of these words affect an outcome? Next is the types of studies. So which of these are types of studies? And the last one, ensuring reliability. So which of these words or phrases ensure reliability? And we have these words: external validity, natural experiment, reproducibility, placebo effect, field experiment, selection bias, and peer review. Okay, so pause the video, figure out which of these words or phrases belongs to which boxes. And once you're done, resume the video and we will go through the answers together. Here are the answers. So affecting an outcome, we have selection bias and the placebo effect. So these 2 factors can affect an outcome of a study or research, right? They can change the data. Next, the types of studies. We have field experiment and natural experiment. So these are different types of studies. And the last one, ensuring reliability, we have reproducibility, peer review, and external validity. All of these help make sure that your study is considered reliable and consistent. Okay, so those are the answers. Moving on to the next section. For the first listening activity, I want you to listen to the audio clip of the passage we've been using for the warm-up, right? And after you listen to the audio clip, I want you to complete this incomplete paragraph down here. It says, reproducibility is important because it adds blank to a study. If the same blank are generated in multiple studies, then the results are likely blank. Okay, so listen to the audio clip, pause the video, fill in the blanks yourselves, and once you're done, resume the video and we will go through the answers together. Here's the audio clip.
Unit 8, Research Activities, Exercise 5, page 19.
Science Monthly, Volume 5, Issue 6. We all remember learning about the scientific method in school, but how much difference does it actually make? In the real world, scientists must follow the scientific method as closely as possible. Otherwise, the research may be totally useless. Controlling the scientific method is often easier in a lab, but lab experimentation is not always possible. An observational study is sometimes the only way to examine real-world practices. These are monitored in a natural experiment or a field experiment. With these experiments, scientists must take particular measures to maintain scientific integrity. For example, a double-blind trial is a safeguard against potential selection bias. Scientists also watch for the placebo effect. This helps them understand how the subjects themselves might skew the results. In any situation, Experimentation must be varied and thoughtful. Many studies are submitted for peer review to gather options or test validity. The strongest studies exhibit external validity and reproducibility. These qualities are essential to the successful scientific method.
The audio was a bit scratchy, but you should be able to hear everything you need to hear. Okay, so that was the audio clip. Here are the answers. Reproducibility is important because it adds strength to a study. If the same results are generated in multiple studies, then the results are likely accurate. Okay, so those are the answers. Moving on to the next segment. For the next listening segment, I want you to listen to a conversation between two scientists, right? Then after you listen to the conversation, you mark the following statements as true or false. You have these three statements over here. The first one says, the woman recently concluded an experiment on sleeping patterns. Second one, the man found an error in the setup of the experiment. And the last one, the man agrees to be on the peer review panel. All right. So listen to the audio clip, pause the video, then mark the following statements as true or false. And once you're done with all of that, resume the video and we will go through the answers together. Here's the audio clip.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 19.
I just submitted my experimentation plan to the panel. I hope they approve it.
Oh yeah? What did you propose?
I plan to conduct an observational study on the sleeping habits of twins.
Will it be controlled or a field experiment?
It has to be a field experiment. The families I interviewed can't come to the lab every night.
That could be a problem. How will you maintain enough control over the study?
I was concerned about that too. But really, having them sleep at home is more natural.
That's true. You'll just have to monitor all the factors really closely. What about reproducibility?
I'll keep careful records so that everything can be duplicated.
Well, I hope your plan is selected. I'd like to see the results of your research.
Thanks. I hope so too. Will you be available for the peer review panel?
Yes, definitely. Let me know when the results are ready.
Again, the audio is a bit scratchy, but it should be clear enough for you to hear what you need to hear. If you need to listen to that audio clip again, just rewind this video to the point where I began the audio clip. Here are the answers. So the woman recently concluded an experiment on sleeping patterns. The answer to this one is false. She hasn't started the experiment yet. She just proposed it. So the experiment hasn't happened yet. Next, the man found an error in the setup of the experiment. The answer to this one is false. He didn't find any error. And the last one, the man agrees to be on the peer review panel. The answer to this one is true. He says at the end, after she asked him, and he agrees to be on the peer review panel. Okay, so those are the answers. Moving on to the next segment. For the next listening segment, I want you to listen to the conversation again. And after you listen to the conversation, I want you to complete the incomplete sentences over here based on what you heard in the conversation. Okay, so listen to the audio clip, pause the video, fill in the blanks yourselves, and once you're done, resume the video for the answers. Here's the audio clip.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 19.
I just submitted my experimentation plan to the panel. I hope they approve it.
Oh yeah? What did you propose?
I plan to conduct an observational study on the sleeping habits of twins.
Will it be controlled or a field experiment?
It has to be a field experiment. The families I interviewed can't come to the lab every night.
That could be a problem. How will you maintain enough control over the study?
I was concerned about that too. But really, having them sleep at home is more natural.
That's true. You'll just have to monitor all the factors really closely. What about reproducibility?
I'll keep careful records so that everything can be duplicated.
Well, I hope your plan is selected. I'd like to see the results of your research.
Thanks. I hope so too. Will you be available for the peer review panel?
Yes, definitely. Let me know when the results are ready.
So that was the audio clip. If you need to listen to it again, just rewind this video to the point where I began the audio clip. Here are the answers. I just submitted my experimentation plan to the panel. I hope they approve it. Oh yeah? What did you propose? I plan to conduct an observational study on the sleeping habits of twins. Will it be controlled or a field experiment? It has to be a field experiment. The families I interviewed can't come to the lab every night. That could be a problem. How will you maintain enough control over the study? I was concerned about that too, but really having them sleep at home is more natural. That's true. You'll just have to monitor all the factors really closely. What about reproducibility? I'll keep careful records so that everything can be duplicated. Well, I hope your plan is selected. I'd like to see the results of your research. Thanks. I hope so too. Will you be available for the peer review panel? Yes, definitely. Let me know when the results are ready. Okay, so those are the answers. Moving on to the next section. For the speaking segment of this unit, I want you to complete this incomplete conversation using the given sentences. So we have 4 sentences you can choose from. The first one goes, however, I'm concerned the rooms in the lab aren't natural enough. Second one, controlled. Third one, the subjects are more important than the conditions anyway. And the last one, I'm conducting an observational study on sleeping habits of twins. Okay, so pause this video, figure out which sentence belongs to which blank. Then either by yourself or with a partner, practice speaking out this conversation. And when you're done with all of that, resume the video and I'll show you what the conversation sounds like. Here's the conversation. I'm conducting an observational study on the sleeping habits of twins. Is it a controlled or a natural experiment? Controlled. The subjects are teenagers, so they can come to the lab regularly. That's good to hear. A natural experiment might have been problematic. I agree. However, I'm concerned the rooms in the lab aren't natural enough. I think you'll be fine. The degree of external validity should be high. That's true. The subjects are more important than the conditions anyway. I hope your study is successful. I look forward to seeing the results of your research. Okay, so that was the conversation. I hope you have something the same. Moving on to the next segment. For the first writing segment of this unit, I want you to figure out which of these words belong to which of these blanks in the incomplete form, okay? So we have full, observation, controlled, natural, reproducibility, questionable, and sleeping habits, okay? So pause this video, figure out which word belongs to which blank, and after that, resume the video and we will go through the answers together. Here are the answers. Peer review form, name of study / candidate. The sleeping habits of adolescent twins / Mary Lewis. Name of the reviewer, Jason Austin. How would you rate the study? 1 to 10. 7. Please explain your rating. Mary Lewis's study is commendable. Initially, I believed a lab environment was the best choice. Since it's controlled, there are fewer factors to deal with. However, a sleep study away from the home environment is questionable. That might not produce the most natural results, but a study in a lab has more reliable reproducibility. I did not award a full score because of the choice of environment. I think I think additional lab observation is necessary to further support these results. Okay, so those are the answers. Moving on to the next section. For the last writing segment, I want you to fill in the blanks using the given words or phrases, just like the previous part. This time we have placebo effect, patients, reproducibility, drug, reasons, selection bias, information, and worse. Okay, so pause the video, try fill in the blanks yourselves, and once you're done, resume the video for the answers. Here are the answers. Peer review report testing the reliability of a drug from a different study. In this report, we detailed our findings after testing another study's reproducibility and their drug. After we followed the same procedure and used the same drug, our results were completely different from the other study. Instead of feeling better, our patients felt worse after taking the experimental drug. One of the reasons why we had different results might be that the other study used selection bias to pick patients who would react more positively to the drug. Another reason could be that the other study provided information to the patients that helped create a placebo effect that made the patients feel better even though the drug itself did nothing. Okay, so those are the answers, and that's it for this writing segment. So that was the last activity for this unit. If you guys need additional help, you will have access to the vocabulary PowerPoints, which has the definitions of the words we covered today, as well as their Thai word equivalent. I hope to see you guys for the next lesson. Have a good day.